Hello class, we're going to go ahead and take a look at histograms, our lesson 4. Go ahead and write that down if you do not have a packet. We'll be able to read and create histograms. So what's a histogram? Well, it's a type of bar graph used to display numerical data that have been organized into equal intervals. Okay, so remember, if I underline it, you need to make sure that it's written on your paper. Okay, these are both histograms. So let's take a look. These are some key features of them. There's no spaces between the bars, okay? No spaces between the bars. Everyone is writing this down. Okay, and that's a big difference between bar graphs and histograms is bar graphs usually have spaces, okay? Another thing is intervals are equal. And a lot of times bar graphs will not, they usually don't have intervals. Each bar represents one thing, okay? And if we do use intervals on the bottom, they have to be equal because otherwise it changes the meaning, okay? Because if you have less numbers down here, but it's taller, that makes sense because you had more numbers in this interval, all right? So they do all have to be the same down here. And what that means is from 25 to 49, it's the same amount of numbers as between 50 and 74.99, okay? And it keeps going. Each of those little hops is the same amount. If the frequency is 0, so nobody has that amount, it makes sense that it would just stay 0. There's not going to be a bar there, right? And for intervals, it makes a little bit more sense when we use whole numbers. This one we can use whole numbers on because a team can't win half a game. They can only win a whole game. 11 to 20 versus 21 to 30. Those are the same amount, okay? Just like up here, they're the same amount. It's just a little easier to tell when you're using whole numbers, right? So let's take a look at making one, okay? So to construct them, we start with our table just like before. So the 108 is going to go between 100 and 149, right? They did make the intervals for us, the book did, and that is because, so let's look at constructing a histogram. So to do it, we're going to use this table and this title. So a park ranger at a state park was asked the statistical question, how many daily visitors attend the park each day for 20 days? Okay, so these are the amount of visitors each day, and they're looking at 20 days. This is what the table shows. To start off, we make a frequency table. We're going to use the scale that can include all the values. So if we look, we have 108 at the smallest, and then we have, I think it's 382 as the largest, okay? For histograms, they're going to go a little bit above and a little bit below that so that they can make all their intervals the same, okay? So in this case, they chose 49 as their interval, right? And it's so that they can include every single number. They can't make this from 100 to 150 because then you wouldn't know should 150 go in this one or this one. So they have to stop just a person early, okay? And we follow the table just like before. So 108 goes right here. 209 is between 200 and 249. 171 between 150 and 189. All right, pause the video and fill out the table. So looking at the table, I filled in my tallies. You didn't have to, but it helps me. And then you should have gotten 2, 7, 8, 1, 1, 1. All right, and we're going to use this to make our table. So our first step is to draw and label the axes. So what that means is we have this, and this on the vertical is going to be the frequency. And this over here is going to be from the title usually. Not always, but most always. Right? They've already done that for us over here. So this vertical, they labeled frequency, and this, they labeled visitors, which they got from the title. Okay? And this was on the front, and I want to talk about it. It just shows that you are skipping some numbers. Okay? That is how I get to start at the 100 right here. Here's where 100 is, and here's where 149.999 is. Okay? I get to do that because I've shown that I'm skipping a couple numbers. All right? And that's what that symbol means. Okay? So for each interval, we did step 2, where for each interval, we draw a bar that's the height indicated by the table. So looking at this, that first one is 2. So right here, I'm skipping this one because it's not an interval, but right here, I'm going to go up to 2. I'm going to draw my little box. Histograms we shade in, so shade it as best you can. Okay, we look back. Next one says 7, so that means we're going to go up to 7. Okay, and same thing, we're going to shade. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and fill out the rest of this histogram. So if you notice, I filled out my graph. There are no spaces. Okay, there's no zeros because they all had at least one person in them. Okay, and let's just summarize real quick. This wasn't part of your notes, but let's go ahead and do it. All right. One summarize or analyze statement we could make is most days have between, I'm going to just take both these intervals, 150 to 249 people. Okay? If you can make another statement, please do. All right? And we will practice more later. Have a great day.